Well, good afternoon. It's high noon on my clock, so welcome to our noon knowledge session today. This is the second in our ninth series of professional development workshops that we've been doing over the years. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and if you're not familiar with us, we are a community development financial institution focused on lending, investing, and community innovation services. We're happy to be a partner in this program with the Washington County Incubator and the town of Abington. We've been doing this since 2014 as a way to support businesses that were participating in the Washington County Business Challenge that we've been doing annually. However, our audience has grown from different parts of Virginia, as well as our neighbors in East Tennessee as well. Before I introduce our speaker today, I just wanted to let everyone know that this session is being recorded for education and training purposes, and that we do have everyone muted. However, if you do have a question for our presenter, please post those in the Q&A section or chat, and those will be addressed during the session. If you have any questions too, or have any technical issues, just post those in the chat and we'll try to help you along the way. We're very fortunate today to have Brandon McKinney to lead our session. Brandon has been an entrepreneur since the age since he was in sixth grade, selling candy to classmates. And as a teenager, he moved to online sales and after enlisting in the U.S. Army. After graduating from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Brandon began to manage some of Amazon's largest fulfillment centers in Chattanooga and Columbia, South Carolina. While at Amazon, Brandon made the transition to selling on Amazon while he continues to find success today. Earlier this year, Brandon decided to make his knowledge of the world's largest e-commerce store available to folks in Southwest Virginia and Tri-Cities area. I can tell you that during the pandemic and before and after, I am a large customer of Amazon because I still am not able to get out and do shopping. So the guy in the brown truck or the FedEx are always coming to my door. And I'm glad that we have here in Southwest Virginia and the Tri-Cities area our own fulfillment center. So you never know what car's coming, but I love to see them when they come out with their blue vests on. So Brandon, I'm looking forward to your presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Oh, by the way, before I turn it over, I want to introduce that I do have my partners here, Kathy Lowe with the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and Nita Farmer and Bridget Floyd with the Washington County Chamber too. So they're here to support any needs. So Brandon, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Sandy. And, thanks everybody for joining me here today. I am very excited to get this opportunity to talk about the good and the bad becoming a seller on Amazon. There's a ton of information you can find online about becoming an Amazon seller, some of it good, some of it bad. And so my goal today is to provide everyone some information from someone who is actually a seller that will help you in deciding if selling on Amazon is something you want to do. I will start by saying that, Amazon is not something you can try. It's not something you just sort of dip your toes in to see if it works. Once you decide that Amazon is something you're going to pursue, I think you really have to jump into it full force to have a chance at being successful. And so that all the information today is to help you decide if you want to make that big jump. Okay. All right. So Sandy gave me a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about myself. I'd rather spend our time discussing Amazon. So I'll just keep it at, I've been selling online for about 20 years. And I started, as Sandy mentioned, Artisan Digital earlier this year to help businesses in this area try to find some success in the very complicated but very valuable Amazon marketplace. So my goal today is I just provide you some value and give you some guidance as you make this decision. All right, on to Amazon. So if you're not familiar with Amazon, it is an absolutely huge online retail company. Around half of all adults in the United States are Amazon customers. And I can promise you, Amazon is currently trying to figure out, how they get the other half to be customers as well. I'll admit I love shopping on Amazon as well. I kind of keep strange hours and I can't always make it to a store when they're open. And then, of course, gas prices are high right now. So if I can have someone bring me my stuff, that's usually the path I like to take. Now, we all know why people like to shop on Amazon. And on the screen, you can see what Amazon customers tend to say, why they like Amazon, why they choose to use Amazon. But the question for us today is, should we be selling on Amazon? So I'm going to start with some of the benefits of being a seller. Then I'll go through some of the pain points of being a seller. I'll sort of wrap up with thoughts about deciding, considerations you might have other than just pros and cons of being on the platform, and then end it with just taking any questions we have. However, I have sort of purposefully kept the information I just talk at you about pretty light. As an experienced seller and as someone who doesn't own a brick and mortar, I imagine a lot of people watching this may have a brick and mortar business. So what I find important and what is important to you in making this decision may not be the same. So I actually want to encourage you at every slide, feel free to hit the unmute button and just ask a question, throw it in the chat. I'm not going to be monitoring the chat because I have a lot of stuff on my screen. So Sandy, if you'll help me, if a question comes up, just throw the question at me and we'll answer it right then. Okay. So any questions you have, they're all good questions. Please ask them. Okay. All right. So I want to jump into the pros of selling on Amazon. I think most people who watch this will be a local business. And I think people within a relatively short drive are going to be the primary customers. Okay. Some of you may have a web presence where you do social media and maybe even advertise on Facebook or Google or some other social media platform, and you get some web sales that way. And that's all great, right? You should continue to do that for sure. However, I think the reach of Amazon is just enormous, and it's undeniable just how far they reach customers. Okay. As a seller myself, I've sold tens of thousands of products to customers in all 50 states and all the territories and in something like 5 other countries. Again, nearly half of the US is an Amazon customer. And the reason that matters is because most of Amazon's sales are not of its own products, but of products offered by small businesses like yours. Right. And they do that through a program known as Fulfilled by Amazon, or FBA as it's called. And FBA is a program where you send your inventory to Amazon. When your product sells, Amazon packs up your product for you and they send it to the customer. So with nearly 170 million people actively using the site, someone is shopping for a product that's just like yours. Right. So the short and sweet of this is your ability to reach customers around the United States and even around the world are unmatched compared to any other platform. So intent and trust. If I go to Google and I search for chemical-free natural soap, it's unclear to Google and to me as an advertiser on Google if I am looking to purchase soap or if I'm looking for instructions on how to make chemical-free natural soap. As a Google advertiser, then it's very difficult to segment users who are information seekers, who are just looking to make the soap, versus people who are shoppers, those who want to buy that soap. And when an information seeker clicks your ad, even though they have no intent to buy the product you're selling, it still costs you money, right? Because Google will charge you for that impression and for that click, even if you don't make a sale. Facebook is a different set of problems. So Facebook users get on the platform with no intent to buy whatsoever. They're there to look at pictures of their family and friends and to read their stories to see what's happening in their lives. Facebook ads are, they work when someone has a strong need for your product in the moment, and you can grab their attention nearly instantly before they just scroll on by. Facebook, sort of like television commercials, is an interruptive ad method. And just like when you're trying to watch your favorite TV show and the ads come on and you get annoyed, Facebook ads are perceived the same way. Most people are just annoyed by them and just try to scroll by as quick as they possibly can. But when someone goes to Amazon, everyone knows exactly what they're there for. They want to buy something, and they probably want to buy it really soon. Their credit card information is saved, and they're primed to buy something. So they just type in what they're looking for, and most often they make a purchase after looking at just a couple of products. It's not a big research process on Amazon. Most customers are buying pretty quickly. They do this for a few reasons, but what it really boils down to is trusting the Amazon ecosystem or the Amazon platform. The first level of trust comes from the reviews. They believe that the reviews are legitimate and that they tell a real story about the product. Now, it turns out that that's not usually true about the reviews being real, but people still trust it, right? And that's important. The other part of the trust, though, is that shoppers believe Amazon will give them their money back if there is an issue, and in that way, they're 100% correct. Amazon definitely supports the customer over all else. And because of those two things, shoppers will return to Amazon over and over again to buy things all the time. I usually get asked at this point, what do you do about a customer who abuses the system and complains about everything to try to get free products? The answer is that does happen. There are people who game the system. There's even internet threads about how to game the Amazon system. So it does happen, but it will not happen so much as to affect your business in a meaningful way. Amazon has an algorithm that just bans customers who complain too much, and they have a way to identify customers who create another account after being banned. So combine that with the fact that a scammer needs to be interested in the general product category that you're offering, and then they have to actually choose your product to try to scam you. I would venture to say that the number of scam purchases you might encounter in a year is going to be less than 10 and almost certainly 0, right? So don't worry too much about scammers trying to take advantage of returns. All right, I'll pause for a second. Are there any questions? Have I missed anything in the chat? Don't believe I have. No. Okay. Any questions anywhere before I go on?
Hey, Brandon, just a quick question. What's some areas that sellers usually get, I guess, missed up on? Are you going to go into detail of how to set up an account?
No, I'm not going to do that here.
But if you've got any words of advice, I think that would be good.
Yeah. So if you do decide to do this, right, when you're setting up an account, Amazon is picky, and maybe unreasonable is a correct word. So when you're putting in your information, they'll ask you for a bill or a utility bill that shows your name and address on the bill, and that needs to match what you put into the account. And I say they're picky because let's just say you live at 123 Main Street and the bill says 123 Main ST period. If you type in 123 Main Street and fill out street, they'll deny your application because it doesn't match perfectly. If the S is capitalized on your bill and you don't capitalize the S when you put in the information, they're going to deny your account. They're extremely picky about that. I don't understand why, but that's what Amazon does. So have it match exactly. Take a good clear picture, leave a little bit of a border around the paper. Do not edit it in any way, because Amazon runs it through a system that can tell if it was edited. If it was, they won't even look at anything. They'll just deny it. Okay. Good question. Any other questions? All right. So easy fulfillment. This may be one of my favorite parts about Amazon. No matter how many units you sell, it's incredibly easy to get your product from your business, your warehouse, your home into Amazon. All you really do is get on the portal that runs the seller account for you. You put in a bit of information, you print out some shipping labels, and you just send boxes full of your product to Amazon warehouse, and they take care of the rest. A big draw for Prime users is the 2-day shipping. And the way they make that happen at Amazon is you send all of your products to one fulfillment center, right? It's in a big box or multiple big boxes full of your product. It goes to one place. That one place breaks it down into individual units, and they ship them all over the United States. Then when a customer orders your product, Amazon picks the unit that's in the closest warehouse, and they ship it straight from there. All that leaves you to do is manage your online account, right? Doing what needs to be done to get your listing in front of customers who will hopefully add you to their cart and make the purchase. So all of the hiring for warehouse workers, dealing with productivity issues and getting customer orders in the mail, out the door, that's all handled by the Amazon fulfillment centers. And it is very, very cheap to ship to Amazon. So the example on the screen, you can see that we sent in 312 units of a product, and it costs $54 a unit. $54 to do that, which comes to around 17 cents a unit. Now, you can't even mail a letter for that much money. And this is a product that was around the size of a tube of toothpaste, right? So incredibly cheap to send your products into Amazon. I've sent in boxes of 20 of my own items. The box will weigh 50 plus pounds, and the cost to ship it was $20. Only with Amazon are you going to get prices like that. Okay. Any questions there? Okay. All right. This is the last pro that I will cover, and it's scale. So there are businesses who only sell on Amazon, and they do $1 million+ a year in sales. Now, those companies may have started many years ago, and they've built up to that point, or they may have just started with an absolutely huge bankroll, and they were able to just kind of force their way into that position. But even small businesses can be successful, right? And on the screen, I've got the sales history for a company that I've been working with. If you look at the top image, you'll see their sales for all of 2021, and it was 27 units all year long. That's around 2 units a month, a little bit more than that. I began working with them in around February of this year. So far this year, they've sold 1,377 units. And if you take a look at the bottom image, that's July's sales, last month's sales, 391 units sold, right? So a good bit sold in the last month. And that's a big jump, right? For us, this is a small local company. That's a good jump for them in terms of sales. They have a limited budget. They're not like the unlimited funding type companies where they can just beat their way to the top. They've been very strategic in how we approach all of our advertising. And they're in a wildly competitive niche, one of the most difficult ones on Amazon. But it's a slow climb to the top for them, and they're moving along. Right, they'll rank really well right now for multiple searches. meaning when someone types in something they're very close to the top of the page. Being close to the top of the page is where most sales happen. So they're increasing their sales month after month. By the end of this year, I fully expect them to be selling more than 1,000 units every month. And that's just to the end of the year. I think, as we get into 2023, sales will grow even more from there. So in terms of scale, right, as you sell more units, you need to buy larger quantities of units, which means the cost of goods goes down. So as that goes down, your profits increase. This allows you to spend more on ads or even develop new products. And as you scale those products, right, the cycle repeats over and over, and you build one of those older businesses on Amazon that, again, are capable of very large numbers. It does take time, right, especially when you start small, but you can start small and still be successful and develop something that will grow. All right, that's it for the pros. Any questions on scale or any of the pros I've hit so far? Okay. So now I'll get into some of the less exciting bits of selling on Amazon. So the first thing is control. Amazon gives you a limited space to talk about your product on your website, or you can say as much as you want. You can put all the images up there. You can make the images look however you want. On Amazon, honestly, everything looks about the same. They have guidelines on what words you can and can't use. They have guidelines on what your images should look like, what they can and can't contain. Creative expression isn't completely taken away, but you do have to work within their guidelines, right? That artistic side is controlled a bit. But every product page on Amazon looks like what you're seeing on the screen right now. You're going to have the images on the left side. You're limited to 9 images, only 7 display at a time. The first main image is supposed to be only the product and on a white background. Beside that, you'll always have the title at the top, and then below that, you'll always have the bullets. So you have to be able to work within those, what Amazon allows. Right now, admittedly, I think Amazon knows what they're doing when it comes to selling. They've done a lot of research on what gets customers to buy. This is the setup they've arrived at. And since everybody has the same rules, what your job becomes is doing the best work you can within those rules, and those who do the best work are the ones who find success. Because of the limiting factors of Amazon, because of how much you can write, what your images can be, what you can and can't say, I will say that I think someone with a new invention or someone with a product that is incredibly unique and different to what is out there, something that requires a lot of storytelling to get a person to understand what the product is, it can be difficult if you launch on Amazon, just because of how limited they are with allowing you to say what you need to say. If your product is more familiar, something customers are already used to, they've sort of seen it before, they know what it does, but you have 1 or 2, 3 things that are slightly different, a little bit better, you've made some improvement to it, somehow it's something a little bit better than what else is on the market. This particular thing shouldn't actually be an issue. You just describe what it is that makes your product better than everything else, and that'll be the very thing that sells the product for you really well. Okay. Questions for control? All right. Cost. So the cost of selling on Amazon is often described as high, and certainly it can be. Amazon does take a piece of every sale, and what they take out covers their share of using their website to make the sale. It's usually a percentage of whatever your item price is. It's based on it, and it's based on the category that you're in. In here also is the shipping to the customer, and then finally what it costs to store units in their warehouse for a short period of time. So as you see on the screen, here's an example of what a product might sell for, and then what the seller expects to receive after all the fees are gone. So this is the product I showed you on the previous page, the bags. That product's selling for $24.64. It's done by FBA, the Fulfilled by Amazon. And after all the fees are taken out, the seller is left with $12.69. So then what I have to do as a seller is decide, is that number enough to cover my cost of goods, storage, any other cost I might have, and then leave enough to actually pay for myself for it to be worthwhile. This calculator can be run by just about anybody. You're always welcome to contact me if you're not quite sure how to use it or have trouble accessing it. I can just help you run some numbers and decide if the net profit number makes sense at all to you. Now, while you might make less per product sold on Amazon versus some of the other channels you may have, I think it's important to remember the pros of reach and scale, right? It is likely that you will sell a significant number of products on Amazon. And that does, that puts you into that sort of volume-based model of profit. Now, with higher priced items, it's not necessarily the case depending on the size of the item. And so that can make, profit be significantly higher. But with high price, and high priced items do have a place on Amazon. Just know that because a percentage of the fees are based on the item price, a high priced item is going to have a lot taken out for the fees, right? Again, you just run this calculator through, it'll tell you, about what the fees are going to be. This isn't exact a number, but it does give you a very good guideline on what to expect. Okay. Any questions there? I don't see anything in chat. All right. So returns. Returns aren't something that's exclusive to Amazon. I think anybody who's been selling products anywhere have dealt with returns at some level. And definitely all e-commerce sales are subject to higher returns than what you might see at a brick and mortar. Some categories have higher return rates than others. You see the top 5 across all e-commerce channels on the screen. These match really well with what you see on Amazon as well. Looking at them though, I think they make sense, right? If you buy clothing online, you buy jewelry online, you don't get the opportunity to try it on. You get it and it's not what you expected, so you return it. That's very normal. As I mentioned, you only get so much space on your Amazon page to talk about your product, and sometimes customers misunderstand what it is they're looking at, or they don't even really know what they're wanting, or they get it and they decide, I can't afford this, I don't need this. They get buyer's remorse and they decide to send it back. So returns are a thing, right? I know a few sellers who get caught up in every return, but in my opinion, the most successful Amazon sellers don't focus on returns. They just focus on making their listing better, getting their product in front of more customers, and being successful that way instead of worrying about the couple of returns that they get every month. If the returns are astronomically high, yeah, take a look at what's going on. But if they're within a normal range, don't focus there. The way you minimize returns on Amazon is you don't try to sugarcoat what may be wrong with your product. You don't say the product is capable of doing something it's not. Quite honestly, you just give the best, most honest description you possibly can, and the return rate will take care of itself. The good thing is when you do get a return, and you will get returns, Amazon handles everything for you. All you do is click a few buttons in the Seller Central, and it tells Amazon to either send the return back to you or to just throw it away if it's not really worth it for you to receive it back. All right, questions there? All right. Okay, this will be my final con for selling on Amazon. So Amazon has certain guidelines on how a product has to be packaged before they'll accept it into their warehouse and then ship it out to customers based on what the product is. But for example, if you sell something that's breakable, something in a glass bottle like you see on the screen, honestly, you need to prepare it in such a way that it could withstand a hurricane. Amazon and UPS employees quite simply don't care about your product. They're paid to move things really quickly, and that's what they focus on. That said, right, you need to basically bomb-proof everything you send to Amazon if it's at all breakable. I have customers who just put packaging around the glass bottle, sort of like what you see on the screen, and then some who choose to switch their packaging up. I do have one client that sells like barbecue sauce. He was using glass bottles. Instead of doing the packaging like you see, he just switched to plastic bottles. And it ended up being cheaper for him in a couple of different ways. One, he avoided the packaging altogether, and then two, the plastic bottles were cheaper than the glass bottles. Not exactly as nice to touch when you do finally get it, but it did save him quite a bit of money on every unit. Other kinds of prep are if you're selling, certain products, they need to be wrapped in like a black saran wrap so that they're not visible to just everybody. Things with an expiration date have to be listed on the box if an expiration is required. If you do have an expiring product, keep in mind that Amazon requires the expiration date to be far enough in the future to cover the time it takes to use the product plus 3 months. So if you're selling, let's say, a vitamin supplement and it's a 1 month supply of supplement, your expiration date has to be at least 4 months out. So that's 1 month to use it, plus the 3 months that Amazon requires, 4 months at least out from the expiration date. Now, many products don't have this issue. I always purposely stayed away from ever starting an expiring product just because I didn't want to deal with that headache, to be honest with you. But I've helped other people who do have expiring products. Pretty simple thing, right? You just need to be aware of when things are expiring. But again, most products are not going to have this issue at all. Just realize if yours does require some kind of prep, it's going to cost a bit more to get it ready. Amazon even offers to prepare your products for you at their warehouse, though in my mind it's too expensive for what you get, but it is convenient. So like doing something like you see on the screen here, putting your bottles into that kind of container, depending on the specifics, you could expect Amazon to charge you somewhere between $2 and $7 for every unit that they do. All right. So that's the last con. Any questions on this con or any of them that we've talked about so far? Okay. All right. So outside of the pros and cons, there's a few things I think you ought to consider before you jump into Amazon. First is your inventory needs. So I put up an image from earlier where this company has sold 391 units in July. That means you need to have on hand 400 units to replace what's been sold. So, product needs time to be manufactured, and then it needs time to get to Amazon and work its way through the FBA fulfillment system. Now, I can tell you can figure on average 1 to 2 weeks for everything to get to Amazon and make its way through, except just prior to the holidays, expect up to 6 weeks because everybody is just trying to shove inventory into the warehouses. So they're always backed up at that time. So outside of the 1 to 2 weeks, right, add in your manufacturing lead time, and that's how far in advance, at a minimum, you need to order your products to ensure you have them in time to replace what's getting sold out of Amazon. One of the worst things you can ever do for your account on Amazon is to allow yourself to run out of inventory. Put it quite simply, Amazon just punishes you for that. They will push you down in the rankings, which is truly the most important thing there is on Amazon is the rankings. And they'll push you down because you're not able to sell product, right? And that's how they make their money. So they just push you down in the rankings out of the way. So you always have to have inventory on hand, ready to give to Amazon as it's sold out. All right. Questions there? Okay. So the next thing to consider, this relates to inventory. You might need storage, right? Now, this depends on the number of products you have, the size of the products you have, how much inventory you need to keep on hand to send into Amazon. All those things come into play in deciding if you need storage. If you already have a brick and mortar business, you may have all the room you need, right? No consideration here. If you don't have the room, many Amazon businesses don't actually take possession of their products. They have it go from the manufacturer straight to the Amazon warehouse. So that is an option if you don't want to deal with storage. The downside to that, though, is if you send more inventory to Amazon than you can sell in a 3-month period, you're going to be facing some very, very large long-term storage fees, absolutely exorbitant fees that will just eat through money. Your options, if you get to the 3-month period, are pay the fees. You can have Amazon throw away all the units that are over that 3-month mark, or you can just have the excess returned to you. But no matter what you choose, it's going to cost you money, right? So if you think you're going to be holding items for a long time, storage may be something you need. Okay. Any questions there? Alrighty. My final consideration, right, is you need money. It takes money to get started on Amazon. Some of the bigger ones, right, I've already sort of mentioned, but I always kept 3 months of inventory on hand for every single product I sold, always ready to send to Amazon. Sales are not flat. They fluctuate every month, especially if you have a seasonal product. So you need to be able to absorb those big months where you have inventory to still send in, absorb the slow months where you don't have too much at Amazon that costs you a lot of money. And you want to keep that on hand, right? Because supply chains are unreliable. It's gotten worse, I think, now. You want to, something, you may be planning on a 4-week lead time from your manufacturer. And if that suddenly becomes 4 months, then you're in a bad spot, right? So I think it's worthwhile to keep inventory on hand. Again, that's something you'll have to decide. And if you do that, right, you need the storage space. If you got small products, maybe you can just store it in the house or an extra office at your business. But if you don't have that space, right, storage becomes a consideration again. The final thing we haven't really discussed, though, is ads. Ads are a whole separate thing within Amazon. You need to already be there to take full advantage. So we won't go over that today. But to really take Amazon seriously, I think you have to advertise now. My recommendation, though this isn't an absolute, my recommendation is a minimum of $3,000 a month set aside purely for advertising. I know for a lot of people that can be a lot, but Amazon, is a long-term commitment. Depending on the niche you're in, right, expect anywhere from 3 months up to a year before what you're doing on Amazon becomes profitable. Now, once you do become profitable, I think the profit, again, can be huge. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I've worked with sellers and know sellers who do millions a year in sales. And I even know a few sellers who do millions every month, right? The opportunity on Amazon is incredibly huge. You just have to be willing to invest a little upfront to get to that point. Okay. All right. I think I've covered everything I want to talk about. I see something pop up in the Q&A. All right. So the question is, any insight in the comparison from opening a drop shipping store with a site like Shopify versus Amazon? I can try to answer that question the best that I can. Do I not want to answer it, Sandy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just clearing them out, but you got it.
Okay,
Sorry.
It's okay. Okay. I can't say that I'm a fan of drop shipping. The reason is because you're offering products for sale that everybody else is as well. And if somebody can out search engine optimize you or out advertise you, they're going to beat you because you have nothing else to offer, I don't think, other than just the same product that they do, but they can put it in front of more users than you can. On Amazon, despite the fact that I just said control is an issue, I think you still have more control than you do with a drop shipping store. And you run into sort of the other issues I talked about, where with a drop shipping store, you need to have a way to drive people to your website. And that may be the Google ads or the Facebook ads or the IG influencers that may or may not work out as you expect, because from my understanding, Instagram influencers, their least viewed posts and videos are the ones where they're just talking about a product. So how much of return you can get from that, I don't know. Most people I take that back. Everyone that I work with on Amazon has their own brand and their own product. They're not just reselling another company's products, right? Shoe arbitrage is a very popular thing, or toy arbitrage, where you buy shoes, buy toys that someone else has manufactured and then just resell them on Amazon is a popular model, but not really something I do. So if it's your own product, right, that's not drop shipping anymore. So yeah, I can't recommend drop shipping. Hopefully that answers the question. If it doesn't answer the question, type something else in there so I can take another crack at it. Thank you, Brian.
Any other questions? Because I have a big list here that I've been doing.
One just popped up.
Brandon, how would you, what would your experience be with selling on Walmart's online store?
I've sold on Walmart. So my advice is always to start with Amazon, right? That's where most of the online shopping happens. I don't think that surprises anybody. Walmart is for someone who is well established on Amazon and who is looking to get that next bit out of their company. eBay and Walmart and some of the other larger e-commerce platforms that are not Amazon, at best, are going to add 10% to your revenue. And that's about the most I've ever heard of anybody getting out of Walmart, right? So, and that 10% of your Amazon sales. So if you're doing 100,000 on Amazon and you don't think you can squeeze any more out of it, probably the best you're going to get off Walmart is 10,000. So the option, but I think your focus starting out should always be on Amazon.
Hey, Brandon, how fast do I get paid when a product is sold from Amazon?
Amazon does deposits every 2 weeks. So within the Seller Central portal, you can click a button and see when your next pay date is and what the current amount you're getting paid is. But they do deposits every 2 weeks.
And as a seller on Amazon, what's the best plan of action of how fast do you respond to questions from your potential customers or customers?
Yep. So all messaging is done within the Amazon platform. They won't let you try to take it outside of that platform. And Amazon requires you to respond to all questions within 24 hours. You get sort of a small negative hit to your account if you don't respond within 24 hours. Even if no response is required, there's a button for that. You just click it, but you still need to acknowledge that you've read the question within 24 hours. Of course, everybody needs a vacation and some break time. So if you don't have anybody that can manage the account for you, there is an option to go into vacation mode where they just pause your listings for however much time you tell them, and you don't get questions during that time, but your items are not made available for sale either.
And as a seller, do you have a special site that you go to that Amazon, of course, owns that you put in your items, do all of that kind of stuff? And is there an app for sellers that I can take the pictures of my products or whatever, and I don't have to be in front of a PC all the time?
There's nothing that Amazon really has itself that will help you get started. There are programs that I use to help be successful. Some I have had made myself, and they're just my own. Some are publicly available. But like as for pictures, Amazon businesses are a huge thing right now and will be for a while. There are support services. I don't take my own photos. I send them to a company near Chicago called Photography on White. They take absolutely gorgeous, perfect white background photos. I couldn't recommend anybody else over them. Not affiliated. I don't get paid for saying that. I just think they're among the best for that type of work.
Okay. I hate to be the one to ask it all the questions, but I warned you at the beginning that I had a list.
That's perfectly fine.
Do you sell on other platforms? If so, which platform do you find that you get the highest sales and profit from?
Yeah, so I sell on Amazon, eBay, and Walmart. I stopped sharing. Okay. Yeah, Amazon, eBay, Walmart. In terms of overall revenue and the most profit in terms of amount, that's going to come from Amazon. However, in terms of the largest percent of profit, I get that from eBay. eBay's sales are it's usually no more than 10% of the final sell price plus whatever it costs to ship. So $6, $7, $8, depending on the size of the item, to ship it to the customer. So on a per unit basis, eBay is the best, but just in terms of volume, can't beat Amazon.
Any other questions? Because I've got more. I don't want to be the hog. Okay. I'm going to continue on. Right. If I've decided that, okay, I want to be a seller on Amazon, do I sign a contract or some kind of agreement that I am going to be a seller for this amount of period?
Nope.
So you can cancel at any time and have your product shipped back?
Yep, absolutely. So when you sign up, they just they check that utility bill, sort of make sure you really are who you say you are. Once they approve your account, you basically agree to pay them $40 a month to be what's called a professional seller. That gives you some reduced fees and opens up advertising and a couple of other options within Seller Central. The day you decide, if the next day you decide this ain't for you and you push cancel, that's it, you're canceled. No contracts. You just sort of come and go as you please.
Okay. If a product is will not sell on Amazon, it just sits there, and you mentioned earlier that you have a certain amount of time that they will hold it in inventory that it's not sold. So if it's not sold, can you sell it to sites like, I know I take advantage sometimes of Woot, WOOT, that sells overstock items for Amazon, and I can still use my Amazon account to do that. Do people take that option versus selling it and not doing anything?
Yeah, some do. So within the disposal portion of Seller Central, there's an option to liquidate and donate. So liquidate is the sites like Woot, where they just make all your stuff available for sale really cheap. You'll get a few pennies probably on the dollar, and then all your stuff is out of Amazon warehouses or you can donate it. To be honest with you, I've never donated, so who it donates to, I don't actually know. But those are options when you go to dispose of an item.
Okay, here's my final question. I know everybody's happy, but let's say that I have a small little Main Street business, and we have those not only just in Abington, but all throughout Virginia. And I'm interested in selling on Amazon, but I just don't know that I have the capability to manage a selling site on Amazon. Do you hire out your services to help small businesses tap into that market and get a percentage of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so if you're interested in being on Amazon, this is higher level information today. I'm always willing to talk more in depth about your particular product. But yeah, if you ultimately decide it's for you and you get on there and you think you need help, you can definitely reach out to me and I can take you through end to end, what it takes to be successful there. Just like the company I showed earlier, right, who sold 27 last year and are closing in on a couple thousand units sold already this year. That's the kind of thing I do. I've been selling on Amazon for a long time. I spend a lot of time learning. I experiment with my own products. I do things and try things and know things that aren't just publicly available through a Google search. So I can definitely help, elevate your product quickly and get it selling on Amazon.
Okay, do you have a slide that has your contact information, or would you like for us to share that?
Yep, I can do that. Bear with me.
Because I think during COVID, we learned a lot, especially Main Street USA, that how important it is to have another place to sell at.
Oh yeah. I think adding channels is never a bad thing, right? So my contact information is on the screen. Brian has another question. Let me read it. So how do you find the products you sell, those that you don't manufacture yourself? Just to be sure I got the question all right, Brian. I don't personally manufacture anything. I don't own a manufacturing facility, right? I have to have somebody do everything for me. But I have suppliers from different places. So in the United States, you can use something like Thomasnet to find suppliers of whatever it is you think you'd like to sell. Sometimes it's just local people who have something that you would like to resell. There's a local candle business in Elizabethton that I reached out to. I wanted to sell their products for them. They make them, I'd sell them. They already had a seller on Amazon, so that didn't work out. And then I do import as well. So I've imported from China, Canada, Mexico, Vietnam, Taiwan, a couple of other countries, right? Everything other than the United States and China is very, very difficult, and I wouldn't take that on as a first-time type of thing. But for the United States, Thomasnet, and then for China, Alibaba.
Okay.
You're welcome, Brian. Thank you.
I got a couple more questions, Brandon. I understood you to say that you recommended $3,000 a month for advertising. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So in terms of percentages, as people start thinking about maybe starting this business, where did you start in terms of your advertising budget when you first started, and what percentage of sales would you recommend in terms of a advertising budget?
So I started at the 3,000. I've not really changed from that number since I started a long time ago. In terms of sales, a percentage of sales, I recommend what's called 10% of what's called TACoS, and that's total advertising cost of sales. So that's basically your advertising dollar amount should be 10% of whatever your total sales are, is really what that boils down to. right? So once 10% will be more than 3,000, I recommend upping your advertising budget in step with that number. But to get started, yeah, 3,000. The reason the 3,000 is because when you first put a product on Amazon, you get sort of this blessing period where Amazon sales they magnify your rank. And again, ranking is the most important thing there is on Amazon. It's what determines how near to the top of the first page you are. And the closer you are to the top of that first page, typically correlates with how many sales you have. And so what you do is you put your advertising budget towards getting as high as you possibly can on as many keywords as you possibly can within a couple of weeks of launching your product. And then after that, the advertising dollar goes to continue to supporting that position and finding new keywords to rank for that bring you up the rank on even more searches, right? Because the same product is going to appear for thousands and thousands of different things that people type into the search engine on Amazon. So your goal with your advertising dollar is to appear as high as you can on as many words as you can every time they come in. And what the ads do on Amazon is they put you at the very top of the page. So even if it's your first 30 minutes on Amazon for a couple of dollars, you can make yourself appear above everybody else. And then when somebody clicks you, right, that's when you're charged that few dollars, and hopefully that leads to sales.
Okay. Another question on supply chain. You mentioned that, you do import from China. Are you seeing supply chain issues?
Yep. Everything is more expensive. Everything takes longer to get here. And it's more of a hassle than it ever has been. A 20-foot container, what used to cost maybe $4,000 or $5,000 now costs $15,000 to $20,000. What used to take 2 to 3 months to get here now takes 6 months if I'm lucky. So yeah, I've had to adapt to that. I bring in things more often. I look for new suppliers closer to home. I'm actually trying to work myself out of China. It's just very difficult to do that at times. I honestly make an effort every time I do a new product to have it made in the United States. It's just that the minimum quantities for a U.S. manufacturer is often, multiples above what I'm able to do. So that sort of pushes me out of the United States, unfortunately. But Mexico is becoming more of an option. I can't remember exactly what they're called, taqueadoras or something like that, manufacturing facilities right on the edge of the U.S.-Mexico border. They don't require, their minimum order quantities are more than China, but not usually as much as the United States. So if you're ordering more, that's a potential option. But otherwise, I'm just sort of absorbing those costs and ordering more product further ahead of time from any overseas manufacturers.
Okay.
Cool.
One last question, Brandon. As someone that's been doing this for a while, is there 2 or 3 tips that you would give someone when starting out, that lessons that I learned the hard way that you could share with someone?
I'm sure there's a lot if I really thought about it. Say one is have patience. When I first decided this was what I was going to do, I tried to rush everything. I really wanted to get my products on Amazon like yesterday. And I tried to make everything happen too fast. And I ended up making mistakes and spending more money than I should have. Gene, I see your question. Give me just a minute and I'll get to it. So have patience, right? Make good decisions, develop a good product, have something that people are not going to want to return, that they're going to leave amazing 5-star reviews for, even if it takes you 6 months or a year more to get to that point. It's worth it when you finally do. and people love your product and it's flying off the shelf, right? You are investing in your own success by having a little patience. Yeah, I would say also be, just like Amazon is, be customer centric. Like I said, I know people who get so tore up about getting a 1-star review and get so tore up every time there's a return. Don't focus on those things. Take care of the customers who buy your products. If somebody has a bad experience with your product, doesn't matter whose fault it really is. It's your fault, right? Just take the blame, fix it for them. Reviews are a big thing that sell on Amazon, that help sell your product on Amazon. I can't tell you how many times somebody gave me a 1-star review, and instead of just ignoring that, I apologized to them in a message. I gave them a refund, no questions asked. And if my product fell apart or something, I sent them a whole new product too, right? Did that cost me some money? Yes, it did. But that person went on to change their 1-star review to a 5-star and rant and rave about how amazing my customer service is. That helps every single time. There is nothing wrong with doing that for $40 or $50. I promise you it's worth it every time you do it. I don't have a third thing, but those two, I think, make a big difference. All right. And let me read Jean's question here. I've seen something shared on Facebook about buying pallets of items that have piled up in the Amazon warehouse for $1. Do you know anything about this, or is it a scam? If you're talking about buying a full pallet for $1, I'm going to go with scam. If you're talking about $1 per item, I still might go with scam. Buying pallets of returns is a thing, but they've been returned for a reason. So I'm not sure that I would want to play that game necessarily. That's a bit more like arbitrage than it is, having a manufacturing-based business or product-based business. I think the problem with like buying the pallets is if you run out of pallets, or the pallets you buy don't have good products, your business is kind of ground to a halt because you have nothing to sell. So I would hesitate to get into that. And thank you, Jean, for the question.
Kathy, do you have one? I know we're about 2 minutes over, but
yeah, it's okay.
No, I was just thinking I ordered something off of a Facebook ad. I didn't click on that. I put it in the browser, so I didn't click forward, but I did put it in the browser. And I finally did get the products, but they weren't anywhere near what they advertised to be. And I'm just not doing any more Facebook ads, pop-up Facebook ads. I've ordered 2 times, and both times, one time I got scammed, and the next time I got the stuff, but it wasn't anywhere near what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't mess with Facebook. I've never been converted on a Facebook ad, and so I don't try to convert anybody either, because I just don't think people want to be sold to while they're on Facebook.
So, I do have one last question. So when you said 3 months of product, how do you determine what 3 months of product is? Like my dad he patented his own spinnerbait and makes it and sells it. He doesn't sell on Amazon, of course, but when you were saying 3 months of product, I was like, well, how many is that?
So I'll give you a couple of different methods. One is you could come to me and tell me what you're thinking about, and I can do that research for you, and give you a pretty good idea. The other way is you could ballpark it, right? So you could get on Amazon and look at the reviews for a product very similar to what you're offering, and around 1% of people who buy a product leave a review for it. So if you go look at a similar spinnerbait and look at the product reviews for the past month, and then multiply it by 100, that's about how many sales that product had in that month. So then multiply that by 3, and you've got roughly an idea of what 3 months of inventory should be. Okay.
Well, Jonathan, I can't thank you enough for sharing your experience and expertise with us today at our new knowledge session. And thanks for everybody that joined us. we're continuing to plan these new knowledge sessions. So if you have an idea of a topic that you'd like for us to cover, let us know, and we'll try to add that. We are getting filled up, but and I want to thank Cindy Fields for connecting us with Brandon today. Cindy's with the Virginia Highlands Small Business Development Center, and I appreciate you helping us today to find Brandon.
I did want to add one thing. On September the 14th at the the Southwest Virginia Higher Education Center, the regional SBDCs will be back in person with our small business conference this year. And if you are interested in that, I will put my number in the chat. Feel free to give us a call. We would love to get you registered for that event. We will have a number of workshops going on that day, and Brandon will be back with us that day as well. We have a lot of different areas that we are covering. We also will be having a keynote speaker who will be with us that day, and we'll be talking about cultivating entrepreneurship in a rural economy. And at the end of the main part of that day, from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m., we will be having an Entrepreneurial Express workshop in which we will give you an overview of what it takes to start a business if you know anyone that is trying to get started in their process on starting a new business.
Great.
Thanks again, Brandon, for being with us. Great information.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
And I just want to plug our next new knowledge session will be on September the 7th, and it will focus on the importance of cybersecurity and IT continuity. And that'll be led by Zach Harless with Tri-Cities IT. And I hope you will make plans to join us. As a reminder, today's session recording will be posted on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubators Facebook page. And then we have a YouTube channel called New Knowledge. And I hope that you can join us and check this out. And if you found value in Brandon's presentation today, please share it with others that could take advantage of this new sales platform to help them grow their business. But thanks again, Brandon, and wish everybody a good rest of your day.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.